I'm excited. Tonight we're talking to legendary comedian and executive chef Michael Wheels Parisi. And I actually am not even gonna wait. We're gonna go right into it. Bring him right on the stream here. He is calling into us tonight from Venice, Florida. Or
Venice, Florida.
all right. And Michael is a esteemed comedian. He is probably known most for opening for Andrew Dice Clay, but he has also had a pretty robust career himself. And in his retirement, he settled down in Venice, Florida, and now runs Parise Coffee, where he not only has an e-commerce site where you could actually buy coffee from, but he also has a stand with all the Italian treats that I grew up. And what I want to talk to him about specifically today, in addition to a lot of other stuff, is St. Joseph pastries. Because every year I come on YouTube and I talk about the St. Joseph pastries, and Mike's St. Joseph pastries, I see him posting to Facebook, are some of the best I've ever seen. So, Mike, tell me, what, going back to your memories in Brooklyn, what is the big allure to the St. Joseph pastry?
I think the St. Joseph pastry, Jerry, and first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. And it's really a pleasure to be on the show. And I'm so excited. What you created is amazing. And I was showing, and I'm going to get to it in a minute, but my wife and I were watching your YouTube channel and about the pizza, the square pizza with the cheese on the bottom. I mean, everything you're doing is top notch. And I just want to let you know that I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
So the Saint Joseph, or a lot of people call it the San Giuseppe Zeppoli, or the Saint Joseph, or then you have the other version, the Sfinge, which is the cannoli cream, the traditional cannoli cream with the chocolate chips inside the cream, and there you go. So you have the Sfinge, and then you have the Saint Joseph, and the Saint Joseph is your well, it's truly a French pastry cream, is what it is. The Italian and French overlap in a lot of things. Um, it's just a European cream, and that goes in the Saint Joseph part of it. I remember growing up as a kid that during this time of the year, it was like we got to go get them. Let's just finding them and going and getting them at your favorite place. And I think it's more of the memory of being with your mom and your dad, and your grandmother was coming on. I mean, it was everything involved in this piece of pastry. It's a great pastry, but let's face it, Italians have so much better than the St. Joseph, but for some reason during this time of the year, I think it brings back all the memories of growing up as a kid. And it's like, remember when we were little, we get to go back a little bit and enjoy that day. And we do it, for a month,
Yeah.
pretty much leading up to March 19th.
That's right. So March 19th is an important day in my life. It's actually my mom's birthday. My
Oh,
my mom is Josephine. She's named after St. Joseph's Day.
wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Happy birthday to your mom coming up.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
we're both from the same neighborhood, let's call it Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
Yes.
And I'll tell you my connection with the St. Joseph pastries. So when we moved upstate when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and my dad opened a deli in Orange County, New York, and they used to actually go down to New York City and get they used to get all pastries from down there
Right.
weekly. The St. Joseph pastries always used to come from Real Muto Bakery. Um, and then but now it's always, because even in the neighborhood it's always okay, it's March, we got to get the St. Joseph's. My parents
Right.
probably have some in the freezer for me from down there.
Of course, you can't stop it. You can't
you know
stop that. What's funny about what you're saying is it's not even about the St. Joseph pastry, really. It's about after you're done eating it, it's like getting together saying who's got the best and arguing over who has the better St. Joseph.
yeah,
Oh, you got to go to Alba. Oh, you got to go to Villabate. Oh, you got to go to, this one. Tarami. Everybody, who's got the best? Oh, no, this one, for this is the best. It's just about the love, really. It's all about the love, Jerry.
you know the St. Joseph was a carpenter, right? And
Right.
everybody wants to know why is it called a St. Joseph pastry. And here's a sticking point for me. So the whole idea of the St. Joseph pastry is its abundance. It's supposed to be a feast, right? And the
Right.
St. Joseph pastry, it ain't small. It's a
No.
good third a pound probably.
Yeah, I mean, mine are large. Mine, humongous, like
So
hamburgers.
yeah, you eat one or two, and then you're pretty much done. If you're a guy like you or me, and I'm
Right.
going to tell you, Mike, I was over there on the couch, and I had to walk over here, and I'm out of breath. You know what I mean?
So you
I'm,
were
I'm
over there. and now you're over here.
Now I'm over here, and I'm bloated. I'm bloated, Mike.
And you're well, so that's a good thing.
So in my area, there's a couple Italian bakeries, and I posted this on Facebook yesterday. They make them both the same way. They make the sfingi the same as the zeppoli. So
Yeah,
what the St. Joseph pastry is essentially a giant cream puff, right?
pretty much, yeah.
And inside, I'm going to pull up your pictures again from your Instagram. So what I have here on the screen, these are the zeppoli,
Right.
right? Because you can see they have kind of that star pattern, and
Correct.
they're kind of rolled circular, right?
Right.
Then you have the sfingi here,
Correct.
which is more like is it fried or is it still baked?
That one's fried, so we do them both ways. We seem to be getting most of the people enjoying the baked. So that is our predominant. That's the one that we've been really pushing. That's the one that everybody wants, and I think it's health in mind because let's face it, it's all about the cream, really.
Yeah. And in my area, so maybe these guys were doing it this way, and they decided just like your clientele told you, maybe they decided, hey, we're selling more with this star pattern. Let's just do the different creams, and
Right.
people will never know the difference.
Right. Yeah,
But
I mean, for the most part, because and to be honest with you, it's a lot more time consuming doing the actual fried one.
yep,
Because you're putting out with the other ones, baked ones, you're putting them on a sheet tray, you're piping it out, you're making that circle, getting that peak, and you're baking them off, and that's it. So with the fried ones, you gotta be there, and and they don't last they don't last if you don't fill them that day. You're done. So
yep,
it's the other ones like cream puffs. You can do it over. You can even freeze them.
yeah.
Because
So
regatta freezes well. The cream puff freezes fantastic. You could do the whole thing.
yeah. So this particular one is my favorite, the Sfingi, which is
Mine too.
I guess the more calabrese version.
That is more calabrese.
And why I like it is because usually you don't eat these like super fresh. They're sitting for at least a couple hours,
Correct.
and outside it gets a little bit of a not a skin, but it gets a little more dry, and you
Right.
bite through it. There's a little texture. You know what I mean?
Yes. Now I fill them. To be honest with you, I fill them fresh. So
Okay.
when somebody comes by the trailer and says, "Hey, I want a Sfinge, I want a Zeppelin, St. Joseph," I will fill it fresh only because I'm more. It's I try to monitor what I'm selling. If I'm not going to sell them all, I'm not a bakery. I'm
Yeah.
a food trailer, so you don't know what's going to happen that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got sfogliatella, I got this, I got so. Right now, and you're also dealing with a population here that not everybody knows about the St. Joseph's. I mean, even though in Venice a lot of people do, it's not like I'm making 100 for the day and they're all going to sell guaranteed by 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I
No, it
fill them
makes sense.
fresh. You know.
Yeah, and let me tell you, even the sfogliatelle that you make, I'm going to pull those up here as well, Mike. That they are, I would say, legendary in my area. So I'm about 2.5 to 3 hour drive from New York City, from Brooklyn,
Right.
probably 3 hours from here. And your sfogliatelle down in Venice, Florida, look better than the sfogliatelle that I get up here.
Well, I've been making sfogliatelle for many, many years. A lot of people don't do it anymore. It's a very difficult pastry to do. I would say there's probably about 20 people on the East Coast of the United States that are doing it. Not, everybody's buying them frozen, which you could get a great frozen product. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy it because there's a lot of things you could do now, and you could stuff them different ways. You have the regular sfogliatelle is stuffed with the ricotta orange zest. And the other ingredient in there, which a lot of people don't know, is semolina
Mhm.
goes into that. But a lot of people enjoy different ways. I also stuff them. I make them with eggplant parmesan. I put it right inside the sfogliatelle, and you're baking the eggplant parmesan right inside the sfogliatelle. So it's like you're opening up the sfogliatella, and you're getting the ricotta and the eggplant parmesan. It's freaking crazy.
That
It's
sounds
crazy.
ridiculous.
It's
And
ridiculous.
you want to know what's funny? So I don't do a lot of that like stunt food stuff. But today on Instagram, I'm scrolling through and I saw a place in Italy that they make sfogliatelle cones and they
Right.
fill them with stuff just like you were saying, not
Yeah.
eggplant parm, but that's a good idea.
Yeah. They fill them with the rainbow cookies now. Have you
Mm,
noticed a big trend right now is everything is being stuffed with the rainbow cookies? If you look online, They're doing cannoli stuffed with rainbow cookie ricotta. They're doing the sfogliatelle with rainbow. Everything is rainbow cookied out. I don't know what's going on with the rainbow cookie, but everybody's stuffing everything with the rainbow.
Those were always the ones when we would go over and they'd put on a pot of coffee, right? Those were always the cookies I would go for first.
Oh, me too.
Those and then the pinoli were the
Oh,
first
yeah.
two.
And I make them too. The pinolis people go wild for.
So, Mike, one of the things I wanted to tell the people who are watching is that we're talking a lot about these Italian specialties, and you and I have a little bit of a connection. We're both from the same neighborhood in Brooklyn. Now, you were a stand-up comedian, and you got your start in Brooklyn.
I did,
and probably close to the neighborhood. We've talked in the past about Angelo's Bakery in 86th Street.
Sure, I know well.
That's a few blocks from where I grew up. My apartment, until I was about 7 years old, was right around the corner from the pizzeria from Saturday Night Fever. So we were on 85th Street.
Yeah, they closed, by the way.
Yep, she closed last year. I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, so she closed up, and I think she's selling merchandise now and stuff. I hope she does well.
Yeah, I bought my brother one of the shirts with the double stacked Travolta.
Oh pizza. Yeah, that's a legend.
Yeah.
How great though back in those days. How old are you, Jerry? How old are you?
I'm 44.
So you kind of remember the heyday of that area, even if you were a kid, even going back to the neighborhood in the late 80s, let's say, you remember the Guido Cuisine days with the Eldorados and people going under the L and all that.
I mean, not so much that stuff, but definitely like, the bakery culture and the deli culture. My dad had a deli on 13th Avenue right next to Crispy Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Now Crispy Pizza is another one of those Instagram famous places that they got the pizza with the pesto and the vodka sauce.
Yeah,
you've seen it.
Oh yeah. Right now, it's amazing what's going on Instagram with all these Italian American influencers out there. I think it's fantastic. You got all these guys running around to different pizzerias. Luigi's in Park Slope is becoming huge again. I mean, all these places are reviving. I'm so happy that the culture is coming back. Even if it's online.
It's pretty cool. Actually, when I was younger, there was a place that my uncle told me. I stayed with my uncle in Brooklyn for a couple weeks after we moved upstate, and he's like, "We got to go to this place for pizza." He makes coal-fired pizza. It's underneath the Verrazano Bridge, and it turns out it's now the chain of pizzerias called Grimaldi's.
Grimaldi's, yeah. Patsy's was the original.
Yep.
Grimaldi's all over. It's one of my favorite. Matter of fact, we just found a Grimaldi's in Tampa, and we were out there. My wife and daughter and I were watching Billy Joel, and we stayed overnight just so we can go to Grimaldi's the next day. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. So I went to Grimaldi. I took a trip to Vid Summit back last September, October, and I went to Grimaldi's just because I have that story connection with it. Still haven't gotten to editing that video. But as I sat there, I'm eating by myself. I filmed the whole thing. Nobody said anything, and I'm walking out. I'm trying to get a shot of the oven, and he threw me out.
Really?
Yeah, he said we don't allow filming in here. It's all right. I'm like, all right, I'm on my way out anyway. You didn't say anything for the last hour and a half.
You said I'm on my way out, and you're on your way out, so don't worry about it.
So you're now a retired stand-up comedian for the most part.
I am. Yeah.
In your interview with Mike Marino, which I have linked down below as well, just from earlier this week. He posted it earlier this week. It's clear it was filmed around Christmas time.
Yeah, it was a while back. He waited so long. Yeah.
That happens. I'm right now 20 videos behind, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's insane. But in that you talked about how you're retired from doing comedy, but now you're what you've done is you've kind of brought what you love, and that's food preparation, and all these Italian specialties down to Venice, Florida.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of how you got started. Well, maybe not started, but how you kind of built your profile as executive chef, because I know you were in Los Angeles for a while. I know you catered for a lot of big names. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So when I got out of high school, I went to Florida State University, and I wanted to major in psychology. And it really wasn't for me, because I knew that I was going to be a comedian since I was 8 years old. I just knew it. I knew that anything I did in college, and not to bag on schools or anything, I just knew it was going to be a complete waste of time. So I ended up going to the Culinary Institute of America. I went to CIA. I'm a graduate in 1986. I left CIA, And I was a certified working chef because I was working in New York City, and as I was trying to get on, ready to go on stage and become a comic. So the restaurant business is in my genes because in my family owns restaurants. My brother's a chef, as you know, Victor, Yo chef. So it's always been in me. So what happened was I always did the chef thing as I was pursuing my comedy career, but I flew under the radar just so, I didn't want to overlap the two because I was trying to be a famous comedian. But I always had that chef background. And when I went to LA, that's how I was making money as I was struggling as an actor and a comedian. I was making money in the restaurant business, but nobody knew what I was doing. My family did, but show business didn't know. And if I really had to be on the set of a show and I couldn't avoid it, I would quit my job as a chef that week because I knew I'd get another job down the block later. Whenever you want to work in this business, you can work anytime you want. So that's what happened. And then in 2000, I got married in 2000, and I met my wife in 2004, and we decided to open up a catering company, and I was able to use, I don't want to say use, maybe I should say leverage my celebrity clientele to hire me and to give me the contacts to get where I had to get and succeed in this business so I can raise my family. And then I started doing really well. My catering company became number one in LA. From there, I opened up a restaurant in North Carolina called Parise's New American Bistro. From there, I went to Vegas. I opened up a catering company there, and then I opened up. I had a cafe, Cannoli King's Cafe, on the Fox lot in LA. I mean, there's a lot of things you probably didn't know about. And it was just from there I just started doing crazy stuff, and I fell in love with food all over again. I'm like, well, now it's not a job. Now I'm able to utilize it and use my talent as a comedian and be in front of people to make people happy in both avenues, and that's why I love it so much.
That's awesome, Mike. Yeah, I think it's great what you're doing, and how you've kind of leveraged social media to kind of find your audience. Not only to entertain through the food, but also to you know uh, own a business. Business owning, running a business now is not easy.
It's very difficult. Marketing is everything. And I heard something tonight from someone that said in marketing, you have to sell. It doesn't matter what you think, it matters what people who are eating your product think. So you could love something, but if they don't love it, you're wasting your time. So, you have to find out what they love. And here in Venice, Florida, I found out what they love, and that's what we do. We happen to love the same thing, so it makes it easier.
Yeah. That's always the good thing when there's like almost a perfect overlap of kind of what you know how to do, what you're good at doing, and what people like. That's kind of, you want the Venn diagram to kind of overlap completely there.
Right. And in comedy, what happened was, and I've told the story maybe once or twice. You might have heard it because you've heard my podcast before. But when I started Cannoli King's Catering in Los Angeles, I was on the road. I had just met my wife at that time. We weren't married yet. And I just found out that we had a baby on the way, Catherine, my daughter, who's amazing. So what happened was I was on the road. I was on tour, and I was by myself, actually. I wasn't with Dice on this particular one. I was headlining a club in Miami, Florida, and I was staying in this beautiful condo overlooking the ocean. And I was smoking weed in the condo, and I was writing material. I'm saying to myself, I'm going to go back to LA, and I got a baby on the way. And here I am smoking weed, which is fine. I still do, actually, not as much. And I'm in a condo, and my soon to be wife is in LA with a baby, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense anymore. And I said, well, I came up with an idea. It cost me $10, and I said, I'm going to start selling cannolis. Now, granted, I was high as hell at that moment, but some of the greatest ideas that I've had, and some of the greatest comedy bits that comedians write are when you're a little high. So I said, I'm going to sell cannolis to everybody in the world. That was my craziness thinking. I'm going to be the king of cannoli. And I ended up buying the domain name at that time from GoDaddy. It cost me like $8 for cannoliking.com, cannolikings.com. And I was going to be the king of cannoli, and I was going to sell. And that's how it started. And I went back to LA, and I started doing mail order cannolis around the country. Didn't work out yet. I think I was a little ahead of my time with that. And then I started doing cannoli drop-offs to all the studios and stuff. And I was selling, everybody was buying my cannolis. And I'm like, well, how can we make it better? I'm a chef. So my wife and I we got into the catering business. We started doing catering drop-off $300-400 catering to offices and law firms and all that. And then somebody said, "Can you do a Thanksgiving party for us, me and my wife?" And we like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And we did this great party up in Bel Air, and we made a lot of money that night. And they tipped us like 300 a piece. And we looked at each other and we said, "What do you want to do?" And my wife and I said, "Let's also get married tomorrow." And we got married, and that was it. And then it just, it just started taking off. And I never questioned it. I think questioning things are the worst thing you could do. If you got the mojo rolling, don't question it. Go with it and see what happens. Like, sometimes you gotta believe in yourself that much.
Yeah.
And we did, and we ended up doing really well. And then from there I just went nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you say you went nuts, I don't think you went that nuts. You're what you're doing is pretty grounded. I mean, you have basically a coffee shop that you
Correct.
make amazing pastries.
I do amazing pastries. We have amazing coffee. We do mail order. Um, in my weird way of doing things, I happen to be somewhat smart in certain things. I know how to sell. There's only a few things I can do in this world, derryx. I call you derryx. I just love derryx, Jerry.
It's all right. I
The
love
few
it.
things, the few things I could do in this world are I can tell jokes, I can cook, and I can sell myself. And as long as I'm giving a good product and I'm happy about it, I want everybody to have that product because I get excited and I get other people excited, and that's what happens. And so, did I retire from comedy? Yes. Did I retire from the stage? I don't think so, because when I open that window and there's a line of people out there, and I'm like, here's my stage. I'm on now, brother. Here we go. Wheels is in action. you know?
Like Jake LaMotta. You never got
Yeah.
me down, Joey.
Never got me down, Joey. Never got me down.
So one of the things this is going to be a little fanboy moment. Every year. So yeah, just for everybody's awareness, how I learned about Michael Wheels Parise, the comedian, was through a special called Dice Rules, which was a VHS tape that we had back in the day. It's
Okay,
on
yeah.
YouTube if you search for it. He was Dr. Slaughter. There was a whole bit
That's
with
right.
Andrew Dice Clay, where it was kind of a ironic thing where Andrew Dice Clay was getting bullied by everybody in his life. There's Uncle Lee Lawrence is in
Uncle
there, and there's
Lee.
a funny little skit. There's Eddie Griffin is in that, and
That's
then
right.
there's you with the hammer.
Yes.
And
Cough.
I'm watching this. I'm 11, 12 years old. My mom, we're rewinding it. We watched the bits before, because that's also his Madison Square Garden big
Correct.
special.
Oh yeah.
We watched the bits more than we watched the stand up.
I know they are funny.
So
They
so
are.
whenever we, my mom used to quote it, the line that you had from there, so is wiping your ass with a shower curtain. They ain't
Yeah.
banning that.
They ain't banning that. That's funny.
So that's how I learned about Michael Wheels Parise.
I do remember that. You telling me that, yeah.
And through the years, you kind of do your things, and I end up going to college and losing kind of interest in Andrew Dice Clay, and he wasn't as big in the media as he ended up being in the 2010s. And
Sure.
I got caught up to what you guys were doing with your podcast, Rolling with Dice and Wheels.
Yeah.
And it's become a tradition for me and my brother now. Every year around the holidays, we have the entire run saved to our computers as MP3s
You
because
do?
because I
Wow.
have an old iPod that I can't sync up anymore. So I have all the episodes, and I just listen to all the episodes. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a
That's
lot of
great. How many episodes did we have? I don't even remember. 30? I don't even know how many we
it.
had.
No, I think it's like between 40 and 50.
You got something that I don't even have. That's amazing.
I mean, I can get it on Dropbox, and I can get it to you.
I think we're gonna have to do that one day. Yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
because I sent it to my brother over the holidays this year because he switched computers and he didn't have it. So he's like, I was telling him, remember this one with Tom Green? Remember this one? And there were a couple where you brought Uncle Lee on too to
Oh
talk.
yeah.
He follows me on Instagram, and it always amazes me, Mike, how sometimes I'll look at the stories and I'll see your guys looking at my stuff, and it's just amazing that guys I was watching when I was 11, 12 years old. I'm interacting with on
Well,
social
but
media.
you're in the game. You're in the business now. You know.
I guess that's true.
You are. You're in the business, and we're fans of what you do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be looking at it.
I appreciate it, man. I always, I've actually, you got, I'm going to call you a famous person, but you're a guy just like me, and we're all doing the thing. But,
That's right.
I always try to treat everybody on social media with respect. I used to actually play Xbox with some other stand-up comedians back 15, 20 years ago too. So it's, you know, I I know some people, but I
Wow.
don't go around talking about how I know them, except for like if I'm gonna have you on my live session and we're gonna shoot the shit here, Mike, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell everybody I know you.
Well, you know what's funny is that you said that because I'm going to be a fan here with somebody as well, and this is a very obscure name. I don't even know if you know him, but one of my favorite comedians in when I was in the business starting out was a gentleman by the name of Jeff Martyr.
I'm not
Um,
familiar.
yeah, it's amazing. I saw him on a young comedian special, and I was watching him like this guy is. He used to have two microphones. He would do two sides, the left brain and the right brain. He would speak out of the right brain, and then he'd move over to the other microphone and speak out of the left brain. Brilliant. So he started following me on Instagram, and here I am years later, I've done amazing things. Going, oh my god, I can't believe Jeff Marty's following me. You know, it's like nobody even knows who he is anymore. But I mean, he really made an impact on me. You know, so it's crazy who we think are who make an impact on you, you know?
It's amazing. And the one thing I really dislike about social media, we were talking a little bit about this before we jumped on here. Um, you know, so the people that I want to see on social media are like you, my family. Like that's what I want to see first. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, I'm sure to some degree you and I have very close relation because Calabria is not a big place.
We could be cousins and not even know it. Everybody was banging everybody back in those days. You know?
It's funny. We went to the first time I got married, we were getting fitted for tuxedos, and my father was talking to the guy, and the guy. It turns out the guy's grandfather is my father's first cousin. Out of nowhere, just because my dad recognized the last name.
Wow. Well,
So
what part of Calabria is your family from?
so my father is from Giosa Ionica.
So would that be province of Cosenza?
No, that's a different. They're two different provinces.
Okay, because
So
my mother's from Catanzara and province. My father was from Cosenza province.
okay, so the province would have been Reggio Calabria.
Oh,
So
Reggio would be
yeah,
your okay. Okay.
yeah, and my mother is from Naples, so there's no way we're related through there because I think your other side is Bruzzese, right?
No, both Calabrese.
Oh, really? Okay,
Oh
and
yeah.
but you're not so it was your mom that was born there or your grandparents?
My grandparents were born there. Now,
Okay,
my mother and father were both born in America, and my grandparents were born here in the U.S. No, my grandparents were born in Italy. My mother and father were born both in America. My father is Albanese, Calabrese Albanian.
oh
Now, not the Albanian of today that we
right,
see, but the Albanians that moved like in the year 500 B, whatever it was, they fled during the Kurds or whatever, and they fled there in the 1500s and they moved to Calabria. So I do have Albanian blood in me, but more with the Calabrese though.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we could be related anyway. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but we're paisans is
We're
what I'm trying to
paisans,
say.
no matter what.
So one of the things I did this week, so I on the YouTube community, what I like to do is these little polls. You could do polls in the community now.
Okay.
So I kind of dedicated all of the ones this week to kind of topics that kind of circle around your orbit. So I want to bring those on and I want to talk about them really quickly here. Um, there we go. So one of the things I asked, and we got 136 votes on this, is what's your coffee style? And it sounds like most people are saying medium roast. Do you
Yeah.
find as far as what you're selling with your coffee shop? And I'm actually, but before we close out the stream here, I want to actually bring up your website and talk about some of the things that people can order from Parise Coffee.
Yeah.
But do you find that's aligned with kind of what you're selling as far as your coffee offerings?
I do feel that the medium roast sells as far as the people who really know their coffee. But what my biggest seller is my Italian roast, which is a medium roast. My espresso is a medium roast, but the fat Clemenza is my bold roast, and everybody buys that because not I don't even know it's about the roast. I think it's because it's about they want to have something in their house that says fat Clemenza.
Yeah.
So with me, it's kind of weird. But on my trailer, I would say medium roasts would be the popular.
Okay. And then as kind of a tribute to your hot dog cart days, I asked people kind of how should the hot dog fill the bun? And I kind of gave the different options here: skinny dog, skinny bun, and what won out was thick dog with a skinny bun. Now, what that to me, that I would call that like a ballpark dog.
Right.
Now, is that when you were selling hot dogs, because you had your Coca-Cola onions, right, and all the other stuff that you were
Sure.
doing on
Oh
the hot
yeah.
dog stand?
Yeah.
Were you doing more of a thin, like a Sabrette style hot dog?
Yeah. So I always believe that a hot dog should be like a boar's head or a soubrette.
Okay.
It should be skin on. You want to get that pop. And I believe that on both ends of the bun, it should stick out about a half inch on both ends. Kind of have that bun with the U like that sticking out. And I think that's the way it should be as far as I'm concerned. But you got to have the skin for me.
Yeah. In my area here, there's actually a special hot dog style. They call it the Hudson Valley style. There's a few places. If you're ever in the area, I'll take you to one of these places. But
Okay.
they make their miniature hot dogs, and they have their natural casing. The bun is really puffy, and the hot dog is kind of thin. And they put like a meat sauce, some onions, and mustard. It's kind
Oh.
of similar to like a Michigan style. I guess they kind of they both kind of have the same Greek origin, and then they split off a little bit.
Now, when you
But
say the meat sauce, is it a meat sauce like a chili type meat sauce or more beefy?
it's particularly like if you go to these places and you order a chili dog, they will correct you and say this is not chili. It's actually kind of like I actually have a few recipes for it, and I've been meaning to test it to try to make my own. Um, but essentially, what you do is you cook down the meat with spices, and then you add some kind of like liquid, and you braise the meat. But it's actually pretty liquidy in the end.
All
So
right.
it's not at all thick. And actually, when you apply it to the hot dog, most of the liquid soaks into the bun, but the meat kind of it almost looks like sand on top, where because
That's
the
interesting.
all the juice soaked in. So
I'd be looking for. I'd love to try something like that.
they're really good. I actually did a video on it. There's 3 different places in the area that all kind of have a similar origin as well. And they're all within like a half a mile of each other. So people like to say, one is better than the other. And I tested it back to back. And it comes down to kind of personal preference. But essentially the same bakery makes the buns, and the same purveyor makes the hot dogs. So the only difference
Wow.
is the meat sauce, really.
I would love to do a bolognese dog.
That's a good idea. There's a place here actually really close to my house that they're doing like they did like a poutine dog.
Oh
So
yeah.
they're going crazy with the hot dogs these days.
Okay. I like it.
And then after I saw your discussion with Marino, I said team sauce or team gravy. And the reason why I asked this question is because I thought you said something pretty profound in that. A lot of people like to say it's not gravy because there's a you're not thickening it with anything or whatever it is, right?
Right.
There's the bone in there, so that it is gravy. But what you said when you talked to Mike Marino, actually, you remember what you said?
Brief me.
Okay,
I always say it's what you remember and love the most.
exactly. A lot of this, and this kind of goes to, I can't tell people what you like, right?
Right.
I can only explain what my experience is, and you could take from that. If I'm telling you something a certain way, and that's the way you like it, then that's the way you like it. But in terms of like sauce or gravy, if you grew up calling it sauce, it's sauce.
It's sauce.
If you grew up calling it gravy, it's gravy. You know what I
And
mean?
I got a little tidbit for you. Nowadays, when people aren't really listening to me, I do say I'm making sauce today. I don't even say gravy anymore. But it was something we always said in my house, so that's the way I always thought. But I do say gravy. I do say sauce now for the most part. But I will tell you something to real quick, and I know you probably got to go, I guess. But
No,
um,
I'm not in any hurry. I'm on
all right,
whatever schedule you are, Mike.
all right. So what I believe in is that food is really, again, going back to the St. Joseph. It's the memory. It's the culture. You can go to a pizzeria in Long Island. You grow up in Long Island, let's say you go to a pizzeria all your life as a kid, and you love this pizza, Gino's Pizza. You love this guy's pizza, and this is what you had on your table on Saturdays, and the family brought it home, the cheese pie, and you remember it all your life. Pizza sucks to everybody else in the world, but to you, it's the best pizza you ever had because, and you're always going to compare other pizzas to this Gino's Pizza on Long Island because it's what you love.
Yep.
And it's not really the pizza that you love. And I'm going to go back to saying it. It's the memories that go with it. And that's really what you're buying. You're buying the memories.
Yep.
When you walk into that pizzeria, you're 7 years old again. and you're over at the counter and you're ordering that slice and you're like, man, memories. And that's what you're buying. Same thing
Yep.
with gravy sauce, zeppoli, whatever. It's the memory.
Yep. It's funny because we went to the bakery this weekend near us, and we got a couple of St. Joseph's, and they also had, for the first time I ever saw them, they had like a bakery pizza, I call it. In Brooklyn,
Right.
they used to have these a lot, where they
Yeah.
were just like, a small pizza, just a little bit of sauce, a little bit of
Yep.
cheese, nothing
We do
special,
it.
but you make those too?
Oh yeah, we call it tomato pie.
No. This is different. These are
Okay.
little round pizzas.
Okay. Like little pizzettas.
Yeah, like a pizza. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And
Okay.
so I never seen that in the area before, but it reminded me of right across the street from my grandparents' house in Brooklyn. There was a bakery. They only made a certain number every day. When they ran out, that was the end of it. It wasn't at all the best pizza in the world, but it just reminds you of that nostalgia of being,
Of
in that
course.
apartment.
Yeah, it's not even about that anymore. Deep down inside, it's not that great, but you'll force yourself to eat it every time because you remember everything about it.
The one thing I will say that so they were probably like a little bigger than an English muffin, the ones we had this weekend, and they were
Yeah.
75 cents a piece. And I told my wife, I'm like, there's no way they're making money on this
No,
for
probably not.
75 cents a piece. And I would have never I never seen them before. So we ordered like 10, and I got a few in the freezer upstairs.
And how far is this place from you?
Maybe 15-minute drive, 12 to
Oh, okay.
15 minute. Not bad.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about the area where I live, it's very rural, but at the same time, there's you've been to Schenectady and Albany.
Oh
You
yeah.
you performed in the Egg,
Oh
right?
yeah. I performed in. Matter of fact, I might be at the Egg again actually.
Really?
Even though I am retired, I was asked to do the Egg.
Okay. You got to let me if you're going to be in the area. You got to let me know. We'll link up.
Oh, I love it.
So before we wrap up here, Mike, I do want to bring on just to let people know a little bit about what you're doing and what they can get from what you're doing. If you go to parisecoffee.com, he actually has a whole catalog of different coffees that you can get, different roasts. You can get them as whole bean or ground. I actually placed an order just before the stream here, and I got a little bit of the espresso supremo, your medium roast espresso. And then I got what I learned from your stream the other night is Adam Sandler's favorite coffee,
Oh yeah,
the
he
New
loves
York
that.
coffee.
Yeah, he loves that. And
So
now the espresso roast that you got is my favorite coffee. That is my baby right there. That's the creme de la creme. That was inspired by a cafe on 18th Avenue called Cafe Milaluce
okay,
on 18th Avenue because I used to love their coffee. So this brand of coffee they use in Brooklyn is called Mochadoro. I don't know if you know what
yep.
it is. Okay,
Remember
so
Mocadoro?
Mochadoro was very popular back in those days, and that inspired me to do that roast. So it's very, very almost perfect to the Mochadoro.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What I was telling you before is my espresso maker, my pump machine, literally broke last night while I was making my last serving of Fat Clemenza, which is another of your offerings. So the coffee I get from this order is going to christen the new machine.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And now what kind of machine are you using now?
So I bought a Breville back in 2010, and it was $130, and it was the perfect machine. It lasted so long, but what happened now, structurally, maybe I was pulling too hard on the portafilter or whatever, but it started cracking, and now I think it's not pulling enough pressure because it might be just broken enough.
Okay.
So I did a little research and I found another machine it's probably one of those TikTok things that is not really going to last very long, but I can't afford a Cadillac machine.
Right.
But I think it'll do the job. We'll make it work.
Well, if it doesn't work, I recommend getting the Breville Barista Pro.
Okay.
That's what I use at home, and you can get them on sale. I mean, they're great. The Breville Barista Pro, very
That's
important.
the one that's between $400 and $500 approximately.
Yeah. I think I paid a little bit more when it first came out, but I think you can get it for like $400 or $500. It's got
All
the
right.
hopper on top, and it's
Yep.
an unbelievable machine.
I'll tell you what, Wheels, when they give me a sponsorship deal, I'll buy their machine.
There you go.
Mike, I'm gonna end the stream here, but I want you
Cool.
to hang out for just a second after.
Will do.
If you tuned in for this, make sure you hit it with a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow Wheels on Instagram. He's Wheels Live. He's also Parise Original on Instagram.
Parise's original on Instagram and Wheels Live. And then, of course, PariseCoffee.com. And if you're in Venice, it's LittleItalyVenice.com. That's where my shop is.
Yeah. And if you have any ability to go see what Mike's doing at his shop, you have to go check it out. One day, Mike, I guarantee I'm going to get down there and we're going to try some of this stuff.
I really hope you do. I just want to have you hang out with you for the day.
Definitely, man. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one.